to do what you love with who you love is what can be better than that?
Hi, my name is Ron Stoklas. I'm a journalist from Berlin, Germany, and I'm glad talking to you.
Thank you, Ron.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too. Let's get right in. In The Lost Lands, we see a story based on a short story by George R. Martin. What was your first thought when the possibility of the project, the possibility of adapting it, was presented to you?
I mean, it was very exciting because you have this incredible source material, but it is very short. So you have to figure out how to turn this short story into a feature-length movie, and that is a challenge in itself, you know?
Yeah, and Milla was actually the one who brought me into the project. She introduced me to the story. She's a huge George R. Martin fan. She's read all of his books. So when this possibility came up, she said, you need to get involved in this and kind of build out the world, which I did with Konstantin Werner, who wrote the screenplay. And it was very exciting because the short story to me had two great concepts. One was it was an adult fairy tale. It told this it had this great moral, be careful what you wish for, but it had a darkness that you associate with George R. Martin. And then also it kind of spoke to Westerns that I loved as a kid. You know, it's got a lot of kind of spaghetti Western tropes, two heroes who go out on a mission into a wilderness but don't quite trust one another and might betray one another. So it really allowed me to make two kinds of movies that I particularly love.
I really like this description as a spaghetti Western fantasy world, but also a dystopian world. Something really, we have to say it, you both are quite familiar with. If you look at, for example, Resident Evil, the films you made together, for example, is there, I don't know, any kind of fascination with dystopian stories, or why do you keep coming back to them?
I mean, it just feels like that's where we feel
Well, I think
that where the world is heading.
But also, I think fantasy and science fiction always give you a chance to explore modern day concerns, but it's a little liberating because it's in a kind of fantasy setting. And I think, you know, with this, for example, the two central characters, they're both amazing, but they're both very, very lonely. And I think that speaks to something that is, you know, current in the present world. There's like an epidemic of loneliness. People live in big cities but don't associate with anyone. People have a wealth of social media but don't socialize with anyone. So, you know, I felt there were important subjects that would be dealt with, you know, not knocking people over the head with a hammer, but in an entertaining way. And I think, you know, fantasy, science fiction allows you to explore things like that.
Paul just mentioned earlier that you, Milla, are a fan of the stories of George R. Martin, and now you're
Yes.
adapting one of his stories. How is it for you to be part in a world he created in his mind?
I mean, it's such an honor and such a privilege to be able to collaborate with George and Paul and Konstantin Werner and really try and bring the heart of the story and then build the world around it for it to be impactful as a fun adventure action movie, dark fantasy. You know, it was challenging to be able to bring all of those aspects together, but still keep the core of this friendship and this love story at the core of it.
There is an elephant in the room, and it's obviously you two. You have a private life together, but also this career and working life, which you share. Is it like a dream relationship because you share this kind of love for storytelling, for maybe also show us dark worlds? Or is it sometimes also maybe a bit annoying because you see each other every day when filming, when at home? What is it for you?
We like to see each other every day.
We do like to see each other. I remember doing an interview where one interviewer said, you know, what is it like to spend all your time with your wife? I know I would hate that. And I'm like, well, then maybe you should look for a better wife or different wife, or she should look for a different husband. You know, I think to do what you love with who you love is what can be better than that.
I think nothing can be better. And I really like talking to you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day with a lot of fun interviews to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
you.